100 teenagers have been chosen to take part in a unique project on behalf of Gordon Brown. They will be going on a worldwide adventure to China, India and Brazil to learn about culture, education and business in the international community. This is the Prime Minister's Global Fellowship.
When I got the letter, I just passed my driving test.
I was in my law class.
It was the day after my 18th birthday.
My brother phoned through and was like, there's a letter for you.
I got a phone call from my mum.
There's a letter for you.
Mum said there was a letter for me on the table.
So we rushed home in the car to get them.
I think I kind of ran down the street because I was really excited.
Very excited.
I got a call from a form tutor and it was like, congratulations. I was like, on what?
You've got a letter from Gordon Brown. I photocopied it and sent it to every relative. Don't worry.
After a careful selection process from hundreds of applicants, they have been chosen to live and work in some of the world's fastest emerging economies. Gordon Brown wants them to be his eyes and ears when they all get a taste of working with the UK's largest companies in their overseas offices. They will report directly back to the Prime Minister at Downing Street when they return at the end of the summer.
Congratulations on becoming the first ever Global Fellows. I'm pleased and proud to be able to give you the opportunity to visit China, India and Brazil. All our lives are being changed by the increasing vigour and aspirations of these new economies. In Britain, we need to respond to that competitive challenge at the same time as making the most of the enormous and exciting opportunities that it will bring. That's why I believe it's more important than ever for young people today to understand what it will take for us to compete in a global economy and to live in a global community. You've shown real initiative in coming forward to become a Global Fellow. We will need people with your enterprising spirit and international outlook in the years ahead. In the past, the countries that had the raw materials and the infrastructure were the ones with competitive advantage. Today, what matters most is who has the ideas, the insight, the talent and the creativity to succeed. So it's important you come back and share with all of us and with your own communities what you've learned. I look forward to meeting you later in the year, to hearing about your experiences. And in the meantime, I wish you a fascinating and enjoyable journey.
What they learn and what they experience will shape their futures and offer unique insight into the emerging super economies of China, India and Brazil.
It's basically an amazing opportunity, something I definitely wouldn't have been able to fund or go for myself without the help of the British Council.
This is going to help me see a way to the future.
It will be the sort of thing that will push me into doing more.
There's no way you can go to another country and do things like that without being changed. Hopefully for the better.
At the end of the day, it's an opportunity and it would be foolish to just walk past it. If you've got a chance to further yourself in life, surely you'll take that chance.
I just want to go there, have fun, and I think if you expect nothing, then you've got everything to gain, kind of thing. So really, it doesn't matter. I'll take any opportunity I'll get. I want to try new things, really explore the country, explore myself, and learn about myself through the experience.
It's May, and the Fellows are just a few weeks away from departure. This is the first time that all 100 will meet before they leave the UK. In a packed day, they will get a fast-track introduction to the food, the culture, and the language. For most of them, it will be their first time abroad, but for twins Simon and Ben, it will be their first time apart.
It's really strange because we share a room at home, so we speak to each other all the time about everything and share quite similar views on lots of stuff. So the fact that when I want to talk to someone about something, he won't be there, it's going to be strange for me.
Ben is one of 40 Global Fellows flying to India to live, work and teach with local people for 6 weeks. For Mum, it'll be her first summer alone for more than 18 years.
I'll go get in the car. See you later. Bye, darling. Love you. See ya. I'm very proud of my boys. But we'll be in touch lots and we'll talk lots and they can tell me all about it and I'll count the days till they come back.
All 100 of the Global Fellows will keep in touch with their camcorder diaries and keep a record of their experiences.
Straight away you're into the culture and then, straight away you're on the roads. How busy Delhi was definitely, one of the things that you'd have to see to believe.
Just seeing the sheer amount of building work going on and just the sheer rapid growth in China was an incredible thing.
and quite hard to grasp that we'd come from a country that just has 60 million people and the city alone has 40 million is something that is quite hard to fathom.
It's hard to sort of describe average because the divide between the rich and poor is so big.
I mean, on one side of the road you could be having a massive hotel, on the other side there may well be a favela, and I think that was kind of one of the biggest shocks to me. And I felt that as somebody coming from the West, I felt that I'd had quite a privileged life in comparison.
To help them understand the local culture, they learn the basics in local language and cultural etiquette.
11. What is 11? It's 10 plus 1 each, right? Not 1 times 10.
Classes have been fantastic. We've learned a lot, adjectives, nouns. We've learned about what to say, what to do, what we've eaten, what we've drunken.
In Brazil, their skills are put to the test as they are set a shopping task.
Now basically we've been given a task where we've been given a list of fruits and vegetables that we need to buy for our fish that we're going to cook later on. There's 5 of us in the group, 1 of us has been given the money in the list and we've got to get a good price on everything we buy. It's going to be a bit difficult with the, talking to them in a different language clearly, but I'm sure we'll be fine. Alright, basically we have to buy all of those.
What does that say?
Do you know what any of these are?
Laranja lima.
5.
12.
3. 3.50. 3.
It says L Lima, so it might be
Laranja lima.
I don't think it's that. I think they've got them down.
Let's go.
Although they have been thrown in at the deep end, they are learning quickly the local culture.
Obrigado.
Mission accomplished. It's been a tricky task for the team, so they head back for a well-deserved barbecue.
It's nice, to just have a little bit of, gathering, and we've been working hard all day, and participating in the program set, and it's great.
We've just had lunch. It was very scrumptious. Brilliant food, brilliant day.
Meanwhile, it's morning in China, and the fellows are getting a physical introduction to Chinese culture with a Tai Chi workout session.
Tai Chi is very living, and sometimes you learn Tai Chi, you must relax yourself and keep nature. For this student, the eyes are already very good.
I'm used to more of the energetic stuff, but it is really enjoyable.
I'm eating so much food. Everyone else doesn't eat quite as much food as me, but I love it. I can't justify no exercise.
The fellows are learning that food is a real way of life, so it's time to get to grips with some genuine Chinese cuisine, but not in a restaurant. The team have travelled outside of Shanghai to the suburbs. This is a family house where everybody takes a part in the cooking process. Making dumplings calls for a steady hand and lots of patience. The real test of their dumplings is in the cooking. The team are unusually quiet as they tuck into their first full Chinese meal, and the food just keeps coming.
And these are some we made earlier.
In India, the fellows have settled into the local culture and have started to bond as a group.
I think initially when the 40 of us come together, it was sort of like the normal chit-chat. What university are you going to? Which A-levels did you do? But slowly, I think you find common ground with different people, and naturally the 40 of us here have a lot in common. We're all people that are very interested in the developing world, or global business. People have different specific interests.
In preparation of the next phase of the fellowship, the Indian fellows head out of the busy city to Chennai. It's a welcome change of scenery.
Chennai feels a lot more laid back than Delhi. I mean, it's a lot easier to cope with. It's a lot less in your face, and there's places like this where you can just relax and get away from it all a bit, which is really nice.
The journey gives them a chance to see rural India for the first time. Here at Chetian House, they learn more about local traditions and have a hands-on experience of Indian culture.
Any questions?
Will I get into university?
When I first thought about coming to India, this is the type of thing I expected to do. So it's living up to all the expectations I had. And it's such a beautiful place down in Chennai. Really enjoying it and liking it.
They also get to try on the local fashions.
It's very comfy.
It's roomy.
Yeah,
Roomy.
it's really nice. You get a nice breeze through it because it's really thin cloth. So there's a nice breeze coming through.
Definitely, it's very light.
But we've learnt that it's not like a kilt. You've got to wear it with pants underneath because there is a tendency for it to fall off.
2 weeks in, and the fellows have immersed themselves in local culture. The next phase places the fellows in schools so they can see firsthand the difference in education. In India, the ambitious and competitive nature of students comes as a surprise.
To see the children, sort of study that hard, that was the biggest shock. I think that was, out of everything, that was the biggest shock for me, to see how hard people sort of worked and the reasons why they did, because there's just so many of them.
Everyone had that idea. They knew that it was tough. That's the thing. They knew it was tough. They knew there were billions of people who were as intelligent as them. So that all of them were looking for one way to just break out, either to get into an IIT, which is like one of the top schools and top colleges in India, or to study in a good college and then go outside and then come back when you're established. So each of them had aspirations to either go out, make their name, make their place, and then come back and then establish in India.
In England, it seems to be less dependent on your grades and more personality, whereas there's just so many people who are trying to compete for the small amount of jobs that at the end of the day, the only thing that's sort of singled out is the grades you get at the end of the year. It made them so competitive and work hard that I think that's one thing I think our country doesn't have as much now.
They had very, very high ambitions. They were very studious people. And when we would talk to them, they would be like, I want to do this. Some of them say, I wanted to be a doctor since I was 5. How did you know you could be a doctor? They had really strong ambitions and they were very determined people.
In China, the importance of a good education is crucial. And with such a large population, the students are also very ambitious.
Their system over there is very, very competitive. I mean, just even in primary schools and that type of thing, they are trained to do their exams. They get a lot more homework, the courseworks. They listen to their teachers intently. They won't ever think about disobeying them, just so that they can get those slightly few better marks to get into the better colleges and the better universities. Otherwise, well, they consider it almost a failure.
They work from like 7 in the morning and sometimes till 10 in the evening, and that's set school hours. And then on top of that, they have homework. Compared
to our system, I would almost class this as lazy, the amount of work that we do compared to theirs.
It was just mind-blowing sort of learning how much work they actually have to do for their schools and how little we really do actually. But yeah, that was really interesting to find out the difference between sort of their culture at that age and ours.
Everything counts towards what they're trying to achieve at the very end, which is a good university and then a good job afterwards.
In Brazil, access to education can be difficult. 25% of the country live below the poverty line, and 75% of households have parents with only 4 years of schooling. Young people are fighting to get an education here.
So many people are sort of held back by poverty, and there are so few opportunities for them, and they're a lot more focused, and also particularly in English classes, because English is the way out for these young children.
They were in a situation at home that was very hard for them, and I think all that was on their mind was just getting out of that, which means they had to work really, really hard, and at university, and also have a job to help support their family.
And the fellows get the chance to find out more about home life in Brazil as they stay with a host family for 2 weeks.
It was a completely different experience for everyone. So we were working in a private school there, and then the families who were involved in that private school then took us on as our host families. It reminded me of my own home and the fact that I wasn't there, and this was another family that I was being, involved in. They were taking me in, and the fact they were so nice about it, you also just think, you think about to your own family.
In India, the fellows are also made to feel like part of the family.
What surprised me most was, I think she was a little frightened when she saw us first.
I didn't expect that.
They were actually really nice, and on the first day I phoned Sam and I was like, please can I go? I don't want to live with someone else's family, it's really weird and I miss my own family and stuff. But then they were really nice, and so actually it was quite good and I quite like it now.
I think she spent a week in Delhi and 1 week in Chennai before she came to us. I find that in these 2 weeks she's absorbed a lot of things. Actually got very interested in history and our society and a lot of things like that. We've just become friends.
Back in China, it's been a long day in school, so the fellows are letting their hair down.
This evening, because it's the Chinese Valentine's Day, we're going out to the karaoke because all the Chinese seem to love it. Like everyone said, have you done a karaoke yet? Have you done karaoke? So it should be really good fun.
The 2 weeks spent in schools and with families draws to a close, and the fellows now have a better sense of the aspiration of their peers and their attitudes towards education.
We've had a fantastic time. For the 2 weeks, we've been going into the schools, we've had presentations, we've met the children love us and we love the children, so it's been fantastic.
For many, it's an emotional farewell to their host families.
Fortaleza has been amazing because of all of these people.
2 weeks has been way too short. 2 weeks has been way too short. I'm definitely going to come back next year.
I love them to bits and I'm going to really miss them, but I'm coming back.
It's been a fantastic time, hasn't it, Anna Louisa? Okay.
Having said their goodbyes, the fellows swap school life for city life as they embark on the business end of the Global Fellowship. For the final 2 weeks, the fellows get a chance to work with some of the world's biggest businesses: Tesco's, Cadbury's and KPMG.
This is the phase I think I've been most looking forward to because although I didn't expect to find learning Chinese as brilliant as I did, I really enjoyed it. The business bit was a bit more exciting for me. So I'm really looking forward to kind of getting a bit more stuck in and working quite hard with it.
It's kept me focused, more focused than ever, because the impression I keep getting from the Chinese people working in KPMG is that hard work pays off.
Shadowed by the company's employees, it's not long before the fellows make an impression of their own.
They're so talented. And at their age, it's very amazing that they can have achieved so much because they're independent and talented and smart, and then also they communicate with people very well.
We've got a program for them looking at a whole range of our departments and giving them a chance to experience all the different things about our company in China. But at the same time, we're giving them a chance to actually stretch and to work on a whole set of new projects for them.
I quite like the fact that we're given overviews of the whole industry, and then we get to ask questions. It's quite an informal sort of like lecture. It's not really lecture, really. It's just them giving us information and we're asking questions about it.
It's quite like lessons on how business in China works.
Yeah. And for me, that's quite important.
In Brazil, the fellows are learning firsthand how important it is to be multilingual in the international business world.
We went to Cadbury's. Everyone there spoke Portuguese, obviously first, Spanish and English. Anyone who's successful there speaks more than one or even two languages. You need to be able to work with other cultures, other countries, and because we are in a globalising world, it's vital that you can do that.
Towards the end of the business placements, the fellows get a chance to see how big business is supporting local communities. This is Parikma School, where Tesco's help provide educational support for underprivileged children.
The students, to get into this school, you basically have to be the absolutely poorest of the poor. So they take in about 30 to 40 children every year.
We're playing wink music. Does everybody know what winking is? When you do that?
A lot of us have had that idea that big businesses, they're awful and they're out for our money, and actually I'm not really interested in that kind of aspect of of thing. But actually what we saw was that business is sustainable, and to be sustainable as a service for people, they've got to care about the people. So we managed to see a lot of their social projects.
Just seeing the work that they were doing and the changes that were being made because of that and because of their dedication and their passion really inspired me to think, well, if they're doing that in Brazil, well, why can't I do something similar in my own community?
But lucky enough, I was working in Bangalore Shell office. They've made a fireplace worth about £5, a simple device where you can still use the local wood, but it burns it in a way which is cleaner and doesn't, give off as much smoke, which will really impact, the actual conditions inside the house. Shell took us in the houses which didn't have the fireplace they developed, and it was when we took the picture, the flash on the camera lit up the whole room, and you saw the black smoke lining all the walls. It was nice to see them sort of giving back to the local community in a way which isn't really just for profit.
Going to Shell and seeing that they were making efforts to increase their corporate social responsibilities and then providing jobs like a large labour force which the country has kind of changed my opinion.
They weren't operating there for cheap labour, they were operating there because the talent, and that surprised all of us who were there.
To celebrate the end of the Global Fellowship experience, the British Council throws parties for all of the fellows around the world. In Delhi, the group look the part in traditional Indian outfits. It's a chance for them to relax, swap stories and have some fun.
I want to go home for a couple of days and then come back. I don't know, it's kind of like go home, give my mum and dad a hug, see my bros and then come back.
At the British Council in Shanghai, the fellows and their hosts have been invited to share their memories through arts and poetry.
I just write down something on my diary to record the experience here, to all the joyful things I with them. Maybe they are moved by my words, and I quite feel very happy about that.
It's also a chance to say thank you.
These are presents for our helpers, Michael, Grace and Irene, who have been absolutely super. So we bought them big fans and we've written on them what we think of them, which is great. We think they're all brilliant.
The trip has been a great success, and the fellows make it clear to the British Council how grateful they are.
It has presented challenges which we have never faced before and experiences which we'll probably never encounter again. Each fellow will probably have in their mind their most valuable part of the programme. This shows how enriching this trip has been.
To end their last night together and in honour of their hosts, the fellows put on a cultural performance demonstrating their newfound talents of varying degrees. The fellows make the most of the rest of the night on the dance floor. Tomorrow they will make the long journey home. Time to say goodbye. It's been a truly incredible journey for them all, as fellows and as friends.
I just feel sorry for whoever's sitting near us.
Couldn't wait to see my family. I was, just itching to get out. And when I actually did get out, I saw my mum, and it was really good. Obviously, it was really good to see them all. And I got back home, and after a couple of hours, it kind of hit me that I wasn't in Brazil anymore, and I wasn't, surrounded by 20 other people.
It was kind of weird. Like, I got home, and a couple of my friends came to collect me from the airport, and we were sitting in the car, and it was almost as if I hadn't left. They're just like, yeah, we've been lounging around in the summer. I just thought, wow, my past 6.5 weeks have just flown by.
After that, I think ever since, I've just really, really missed it, and I love the whole experience, and I just want to go back.
Because everything was just slow paced compared to the past 6.5 weeks, it was just like, I feel quite idle now.
But there is one more job they have to do.
Part of the scheme is that we've got to come back and tell our local schools and local communities. So me and Holly are back at Brampton College where we did our A-levels.
So we've just come up with a presentation on what we did during the summer and kind of like a bit of a recruiting feel, like, you want to apply for next year.
So we had 3 days with a family, and my family only spoke Portuguese. There was one person that spoke a bit of English, but I told him to speak Portuguese so I could practice. And it was
Going back into their schools is an opportunity for the fellows to teach their classmates about the realities of life in the global community. They realise how important it is for others to see the UK's place in the world has changed fundamentally.
My language as well. I've learnt a lot of Portuguese now and I can understand quite a bit. I would say you've got to be ready to do things that you've never done before and try things you've never tried before, because especially in Brazil, I know we were very shocked at first to see what the culture's like, and they're very expressive people. They're very different to what it's like in the UK.
This was actually quite an amazing thing. What they have done just shows I want to learn more.
I thought the talk was really inspiring. I mean, I don't study geography, economics or politics myself, but I think, they mentioned that dentists and doctors, people, that are studying other subjects also do it as well. So I think it would be something that I'd like to look into.
I was just astonished. I mean, seriously, it was mind-boggling. So good, really insightful, I can't wait to go myself, if I can.
Up and down the country, the fellows are sharing their experiences with their local communities.
Since I've got back, I've done assemblies every year in my school, and I've been in the local paper a couple of times, and I've just been sort of trying to go out of my way to tell people about this sort of scheme, because similar things like this, because I've just had the best 6 weeks of my life, and it has just been an unbelievable experience for me.
It is an opportunity that I would recommend to anyone.
The Global Fellowship has been a life-changing experience. Fellow Andy James received disappointing exam results while he was away, but being in India has inspired him to rethink his future.
If I'd worked as hard as they did, I would have got the grades. So, you need to be more competitive now. So I couldn't settle on second best, and I've decided to retake my A-levels in January.
And Andy isn't the only one who is inspired to change.
Well, I'm going to Nottingham to study economics. Originally it was just straight economics, I was going to choose maths modules, but having been to China, I actually want to pick Chinese modules because we had a crash course in Mandarin when we were out there, and I'd love to carry that on.
Whatever course I do, I definitely want to pair it up with a language because I think they're vital.
I actually want to do some teaching in Bolivia next year, and I think that I've sort of been encouraged from participating in the Prime Minister's Global Fellowship.
I did feel like a better person altogether, and since I've got back, I think I've carried on with that, and it has made me feel better about going to university and just about the challenges I'm going to face in life and being an individual, and yeah, it's just made me feel really, really good about myself.
Global Entrepreneurship Week is the first worldwide celebration of enterprise. To celebrate in London, the fellows are invited to take part in a public event to brainstorm business solutions for the future, drawing from their recent experiences.
These are really, really bright, intelligent, enterprising people, and when it is moving on to a global market, like we said before, it's quite scary for us, really. I think
Britain becomes bigger, but with maybe India around it, and China and Brazil.
The opportunity to see people being able to develop their skills, not just within individual countries, but to really do business and to travel, see other cultures, develop their own competencies outside of their own country, is becoming increasingly important, not just to the individuals, but also to us as a business.
During the day, the fellows have an opportunity to hear from some of the country's business leaders and politicians.
I would argue that not only can entrepreneurs change the world, we in fact need them to do just that.
We want to build thriving, innovative, global businesses, the likes of which that we've started in this country before, like Vodafone, for example. Now, in order to do that, we have to have a level of understanding of the markets we're entering. And if we can do that at an early age, all of a sudden, and create them in an entrepreneurial fashion, all of a sudden, we've got global trade being opened up, global entrepreneurship coming to the fore. Well, I think it's pretty sexy, actually.
For entrepreneurs like Peter Jones, the Global Fellowship and the fellows themselves are the key to a thriving global economy.
When I was at school 20 years ago, I never had the opportunity to really even travel abroad, let alone understand different cultures, different business opportunities. That whole world has now really opened up.
The last stop of the day is 10 Downing Street, and the fellows are given a VIP welcome. It's the culmination of an incredible journey, and everyone's there to help celebrate, including the Prime Minister himself. It's a proud moment for everyone involved.
Prime Minister, your fellowship has had such a positive impact on everyone. We've embraced and experienced culture. We've engaged with our peers from the 3 emerging economies which we visited. We've learnt how highly driven and how emotional towards change they are. In the interlinked world, we can view it as an opportunity or a threat. And I think we've all truly learned that it's an opportunity that should be seized with both hands whenever it presents itself. And I'd like to thank you personally on behalf of everyone for this truly life-changing experience. Thank you.
Can I say, first of all, welcome to number 10 Downing Street. It is a great privilege to have you here this evening. It's a great pleasure for me to congratulate all of you for being great ambassadors for our country. We are very pleased at what you have achieved, and we wish you all the best in the future. I hope you keep in touch, but I hope you also remember that as we move forward the next few years, building this global society is perhaps the most important thing we can do. We can conquer poverty and hunger and malnutrition. We can conquer the climate change problem. We can conquer the problems of illiteracy and disease. We can do all these things if we work together. And you can play such an important part. Your talent, your determination, your beliefs, you can change the world. Thank you very much.
And change the world, they just might.
These young people, bright, energetic young people with lots of creativity, lots of inventiveness, lots of brains, have got an extra level of depth to their understanding, which is a great way to have the influence that they should have in encouraging wider public understanding of where we are as a world and where we could be as a world.
Don't look at yourself as only a young person in the UK. Look at yourself as a young person in the whole of the world.
We're not just competing with other graduates from the UK, it's global now.
Going into youth crime and drugs and stuff, it's just going to limit where you're going to get to, because they're more focused people and you have to drive to be there.
If we don't perform to their standard, we're going to fall behind and probably get overtaken by some of the emerging economies.
It's going to have an impact on all of our lives. And so, well, you're going to have to get used to that, really.
The fact that countries like Brazil, India and China are developing on such a rapid scale, I think it offers a perfect opportunity for us to learn more about them and learn about what's working, what isn't working, and about working with them as opposed to against them.